Welcome to History Briefing. The content of the briefing includes: well-rested Aces and Liberty set to begin WNBA Finals, expect more competitive games. Wales National Museums can't find 2,000 items. Adam Lau on the classic Aussie Sunday roast and how to make it. Live Ireland v Scotland build-up and updates from Rugby World Cup Pool B. Anti-statue activists have achieved a startling victory. Well-rested Aces and Liberty set to begin WNBA Finals, expect more competitive games. The Toronto Star. The WNBA Finals between the Las Vegas Aces and the New York Liberty are set to begin on Sunday. The two teams have split their regular season meetings and are expecting a highly competitive series in the finals. The Aces are looking for their second consecutive championship, while the Liberty are aiming for their first ever title and the first basketball championship for New York since the Knicks won in 1973. Both teams have star power, with 5 of the last 6 MVP winners playing in the series. The finals will be a best-of-5 series. Wales National Museums can't find 2,000 items. BBC. Almost 2,000 items, including a sword, axe, and javelin head from the Bronze Age, are missing from National Museum Wales, according to a Freedom of Information request by BBC Wales. The missing items, which also include Roman ceramic tiles and a bracelet, finger ring, and bow brooch from the 2nd century, have been documented on the museum's digital database, but the project is expected to take another 20 years to complete. Museum Wales has said that no items of high financial value are missing, but it has been unable to provide pictures of the missing items. Adam Lau on the classic Aussie Sunday roast and how to make it. The Sydney Morning Herald. The Sunday roast is a traditional meal in Australia and has been for many years. It's a chance for families to come together and celebrate the little things in life. The modern Aussie Sunday roast has changed over time, with beef being replaced by slow-cooked lamb shoulder. Regardless of the meat, the Sunday roast is an important part of Australian culture and gives families an opportunity to spend quality time together. Live Ireland v Scotland build-up and updates from Rugby World Cup Pool B. Telegraph. Scotland captain Jamie Ritchie has been declared fit to play in the Pool B match against Ireland at the Rugby World Cup. Ritchie missed the match against Romania due to concussion, but has been cleared to play against Ireland. Blair Kinghorn will earn his 50th cap for Scotland. The match is crucial for both teams, with Ireland aiming for a clean sweep of wins in the pool stage, while Scotland need a victory to progress to the quarter-finals. Anti-statue activists have achieved a startling victory. Telegraph. The UK Department for Culture, Media and Sport has issued new advice on controversial monuments, suggesting that they should be matched by counter-memorials that provide a balanced explanation of the person or event being commemorated. The advice aims to ensure that decisions about heritage are not based on a partial or partisan view of history, but instead encourage people to learn from it. However, critics argue that this approach risks distorting history and imposing the values of the present onto the past. Poland, elections in a time of broken media. Al Jazeera. The ruling Law and Justice Party in Poland has been accused of using its control of the public broadcaster to silence opposition voices and promote anti-European Union and anti-migrant messaging ahead of the upcoming elections. Meanwhile, police in Delhi have raided the offices of news website NewsClick and detained journalists over accusations of spreading Chinese propaganda, highlighting the tense relations between India and China. In Ukraine, museum workers have been facing a war against their heritage and history since the Russian invasion began, with concerns that their collections will be targeted. I cast my vote for yes. Albanese joins 1.8 million Australian pre-poll voters ahead of referendum. ABC. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has cast his vote in the upcoming referendum on Indigenous recognition in the country's constitution. Albanese voted yes, saying that it was the request of Indigenous Australians. The referendum will take place on October 14, following a campaign that has highlighted divisions between the yes and no camps. The fabulous myth-making of Imelda Marcos. Foreign policy. The Marcos family, known for their brutal dictatorship in the Philippines, has made a political comeback. Imelda Marcos, the former First Lady, celebrated her 94th birthday in July with a party at the Presidential Palace in Manila. Her son, Ferdinand Marcos Jr., also known as Bongbong, won the presidential election in 2022. Imelda and Ferdinand Marcos amassed a $10 billion fortune through corruption and human rights abuses during their regime. However, many Filipinos have chosen to forget the past, and the family has successfully rewritten their narrative and regained political power. The novel Forgiving Imelda Marcos by Nathan Go explores the theme of redemption and forgiveness, questioning whether forgiveness can be given without remorse. The protagonist, Lito Macarag, reflects on his role in facilitating a meeting between Imelda Marcos and former President Corazon Aquino, who planned to forgive her. Leto grapples with the morality of Aquino's mission and contemplates his own failings and the need for personal redemption. The novel highlights the importance of historical memory and the danger of forgetting or forgiving without acknowledging past wrongs. Despite attempts to shed light on the dark era of the Marcos dictatorship, the family's return to power has been aided by decades of propaganda and the erosion of democratic institutions in the Philippines. The Marcoses have successfully cultivated a narrative of victimhood and portrayed their regime as a golden age. With a largely defanged press and limited opposition, the family's political resurrection has been facilitated by President Rodrigo Duterte, a fan of the late dictator, who has silenced criticism and allowed the Marcoses to regain influence. However, there are still Filipinos who have not forgotten the family's crimes and believe that justice must be served. Lisa Lyon, model and bodybuilder whose work with the photographer Robert Mapplethorpe redefined femininity, obituary. Telegraph. Lisa Lyon, a pioneering bodybuilder and model, has died at the age of 70. Lyon became the muse and girlfriend of photographer Robert Mapplethorpe, and together they redefined femininity. Lyon, who wanted to look like a sleek, feline animal, won the inaugural Women's World Pro Bodybuilding Championship in 1979 and became a spokesperson for female bodybuilders. She also posed for Playboy and published a book called Lisa Lyon's Body Magic. Lyon's work with Mapplethorpe culminated in an exhibition and book titled Lady, Lisa Lyon. She also inspired the creation of the Marvel character Elektra. Heather Cox Richardson on Trump's historic threat. The Guardian. Historian Heather Cox Richardson warns that the United States is facing a historic threat to its democracy, comparable to the Civil War, and that a second term for Donald Trump would mean the end of American democracy. She argues that American democracy has been undermined over the years through the use of history and language to divide the population and convince them that their economic and social struggles are due to an enemy. Richardson also criticizes Republican politicians for failing to stand up to Trump and for prioritizing their own power and interests over the well-being of the country. She believes that Joe Biden is one of the few people who could meet the current moment and has the potential to be a transformative president. Despite concerns about his age, Richardson argues that Biden's experience and connections make him a strong leader. Richardson emphasizes the importance of understanding history and promoting a democratic narrative that highlights the struggles and achievements of marginalized populations in order to protect and strengthen American democracy. Ladies and gentlemen, it's your favorite observer from the 6 Degrees world, Dr. Six. Today, we've got a lineup of news that will make you go, wow. So, let's dive right in, shall we? First up, we have the WNBA Finals between the Las Vegas Aces and the New York Liberty. Both teams are expecting a highly competitive series, and with 5 of the last 6 MVP winners playing, it's bound to be a star-studded showdown. Will the Aces defend their championship title, or will the Liberty make history with their first-ever title? Buckle up, folks, because this is going to be one thrilling basketball battle. Moving on, it seems like Wales National Museums have misplaced a few items. And by a few, I mean almost 2,000. Including a sword, axe, and javelin head from the Bronze Age. Oops. But don't worry, they're on it. It'll only take them another 20 years to complete the documentation. So, if you're visiting Wales anytime soon, don't be surprised if you come across an exhibition called The Great Museum Mystery, The Case of the Missing Artifacts. Now, let's take a trip down under, where the classic Aussie Sunday roast is getting a modern twist. It seems that beef is being replaced by slow-cooked lamb shoulder. But no matter the meat, the Sunday roast remains a beloved tradition for families to come together and celebrate the little things in life. So, grab your apron and get ready to roast, because this is an Australian cultural feast you don't want to miss. In the world of sports, we have the Rugby World Cup match between Ireland and Scotland. Scotland captain Jamie Ritchie has been declared fit to play, and both teams are hungry for victory. Ireland aims for a clean sweep of wins in the pool stage, while Scotland needs a victory to make it to the quarter-finals. It's a nail-biting showdown, so grab your kilts and shamrocks, folks, it's time to cheer on your favorite team. Now, let's talk about statues and counter-memorials. The UK Department for Culture, Media and Sport has issued new advice on controversial monuments, suggesting that they should be matched by counter-memorials to provide a balanced explanation of the person or event being commemorated. Some argue that this approach risks distorting history, but hey, at least it's a step towards encouraging people to learn from our past. So, if you see a statue with a new friend next to it, don't be surprised, they're just here to keep each other company. In Poland, the ruling Law and Justice Party has been accused of using its control of the public broadcaster to silence opposition voices and promote anti-European Union and anti-migrant messaging. Meanwhile, in India, police have raided the offices of a news website over accusations of spreading Chinese propaganda, highlighting the tense relations between the two countries. And in Ukraine, museum workers are facing a war against their heritage and history since the Russian invasion began. Looks like it's not just superheroes who have to protect their collections these days. Down under once again, Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has cast his vote in the upcoming referendum on Indigenous recognition in the country's constitution. He voted yes, saying it was the request of Indigenous Australians. The referendum will take place soon, so let's see if Australia is ready to make a big step towards inclusivity and recognition. Now, let's shine a spotlight on the Marcos family in the Philippines. Known for their brutal dictatorship, they have made a political comeback. Despite their dark history of corruption and human rights abuses, they have successfully rewritten their narrative and regained political power. But some Filipinos haven't forgotten, and they believe that justice must be served. So, let's see if the truth can prevail over mythmaking. Sadly, we bid farewell to Lisa Lyon, a pioneering bodybuilder and model who redefined femininity. She won the Women's World Pro Bodybuilding Championship and became a spokesperson for female bodybuilders. Lyon's work with photographer Robert Mapplethorpe challenged traditional beauty standards and inspired many. So, let's remember her as a trailblazer who showed the world the power of strength and grace. And last but not least, historian Heather Cox Richardson warns that the United States is facing a historic threat to its democracy. She believes that a second term for Donald Trump would mean the end of American democracy. Yikes! Richardson emphasizes the importance of understanding history and promoting a democratic narrative to protect and strengthen democracy. So, let's all be history buffs and defenders of democracy. Now, my dear viewers, it's time for your thoughts. What do you make of these stories? Are you excited for the WNBA Finals? Do you have any thoughts on the missing artifacts in Wales or the Sunday roast in Australia? And what about the Marcos family's political comeback? I'm all ears. So, share your thoughts, ask your questions, and let's keep the discussion going. What say you, my brilliant audience? Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.